What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Card Talk. As always, I'm Ryan, joined by Tyler and Lou. Today's episode, we're going to get into a little recap of the NFL weekend that was, as well as what Friday's release of Prizm looked like. And then we're going to name a winner for Stump The Shop. 20-some episodes, 25 episodes, 26 episodes now. And we're finally ready to name a winner. All of our hard work or lack of hard work for the last 25 or 26 weeks is going to come to fruition, and we're going to talk about that. So first thing, I figured we start off, since you two are Jets fans, let's get into let's talk about the Jets game.
I want to talk about it. I want to get into it. I want to say that final minute and a half will go down in history as the most effective tanking in the history of American, European, worldwide sports. There's never been anything like what I saw in that last minute and 30 seconds. From a lot's been made of the cover zero, 8 guys or 7 guys going in, QB spy on Derek Carr for a touchdown.
The holding on Waller.
The play before that, they dropped 8, right? So they dropped 8. It didn't work. The guy just happened to drop it. The next play, they sent 8, and it didn't work either. It's an all-time moment. I'm forever thankful to Greg Williams for that, and for where it has set the Jets up to be able to do, hopefully, the number 1 pick in the NFL draft coming up.
The ball also hung in the air for like 45 seconds, and he was still wide open somehow.
Yeah. The part, like, obviously being an NFL cornerback is a very, very, very difficult job. The biting on a double in move, the fake double in
on the last play of the game.
On the last play of the game for a 45-yard touchdown is an all-time moment. And again, Lamar Jackson into the Hall of Fame for the tank. Tank.
I mean, you couldn't have made it up. Like, you couldn't have made up that loss unless you were trying. Like, actually, you probably could have lost that game if you tried.
I can't even believe the fact that they got the ball back with 1 minute and 30 left and went down the field in 30 seconds and scored. It's an unbelievable moment. Unbelievable moment.
Yeah. Man.
I'm thankful for it.
Me
Ryan,
too.
your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, as a guy that's a Patriots fan, I mean, and I honestly wish the Jets would have won.
Yeah.
It would have played better for you, yeah.
I would have rather Trevor Lawrence ended up in Jacksonville.
Well, let's not assume that Trevor Lawrence is coming to the Jets with the number 1 pick, but
Don't let the Jets get smart, right?
I've made it very clear my intentions, or what I would do with that pick is not take Trevor Lawrence.
Instead, buy Sam Darnold rookie prisms.
So, Lou, you feel pretty confident then, pretty strong. That was intentional.
It was definitely not intentional. It was just an all-time moment.
I disagree.
No one intentionally loses football games.
Absolutely,
Derek Carr was so bad all game,
and then he was
blitz was the right play. The ball was awful. He stepped up in the pocket and
it was like 27 yards in the air. Right? You think they purposely tanked and then fired the guy the next day? What does that even mean?
It's just, I mean,
the team came out afterwards. It was like pissed.
Well, yeah, Marcus May's like, that was the worst play call ever.
I know. I mean, I love it either way, but
it's a great
moment. It
wasn't
as
moment.
bad as an L as Lou took on his Prizm football box. So
Lou's box wasn't that bad.
What do you mean?
Inherently, that
counts as not that bad?
Did you hit like a Tua out of 75?
That's it.
That's like $500.
Is it really?
$1,000.
Yeah, I paid $1,000 for the box, right?
That card's gonna sell for. I mean, you get one card, it gets half your money back at 144 cards. I mean, that's a solid start.
Okay, let's go through everything else that I got in the box.
Look, it's not a bad point. It's not a bad point. And what
let's talk about Prizm.
Let's talk. Because I had this conversation with myself over the weekend because of our good
There's
friend.
a Tua at 355 with a day and a half left. It's got 10 bids. That card's gonna sell for every bid of $600.
Of 75?
Yeah, I mean, like,
and I also got the other cards I got out of it were a Jacob Eason and a Jordan Love, as well as a 2,500 point Panini point.
And 2,500 points is what, $150? That's a lot of points.
That's awesome, man. But like, I want the 2 autos. out of the box.
One in one hand and in another, and let's see which one gets filled first. I'm just saying, out of all the possibilities for boxes, that's a good box comparatively.
That's
again,
stunning though. That's That's really bad. If you're getting $1,000 box,
it's not $1,000 box though. The MSRP on
is.
the box is 150.
Sick, man, so that's not what I'm paying for it.
Panini doesn't make these boxes to be $1,000, right? These boxes are meant to be 150. So when they come out, and everybody in the world wants them, supply and demand, right? Demand is through the roof. Supply is not that much. So
I thought Panini sells them direct though.
Yeah, Panini was selling them for $1,000 on their website. So
yeah, again, that's just what MSRP on them is supposed to be less. I get the point there. That's a fair counterpoint. I'm looking under.
Listen, I definitely they were definitely on selling side for $1,000, but
I think it's a slippery slope, Rye, and I think we got to talk about it.
We've talked at length about the value of buying a box and ripping it yourself.
100%.
I was very clear going into it what I was doing. Me and my my sister. Yeah, we went half and half on a box, and I opened it on Instagram Live last night. I accidentally showed the Panini QR code, which was an accident, but that's fine. So I opened it, and we went through the box. The 12 packs, 144 cards, and I walked away from that box. I didn't feel great walking away from the box. That's just, to be super honest with you guys, that was my takeaway from it.
A Tua silver prism, which is not.
Also, I got no silvers in the whole box. How's that even possible?
I'm just saying the Tua silver prism, which is unnumbered and is going to sell less than the Prizm green. The last two sales were $750 and $900. That's $1,000 card.
Silver and a green scope is different though.
Yeah, green scope's numbered and silver's not. The green scope will sell for $1,000.
Okay, if the green scope sells for $1,000, then I made my money back on the box.
You think I don't want to test your knowledge because you know more.
No,
You think silver's less valuable than a number?
Out of 75? Out of 75, absolutely.
I feel
like the market
look up Kyler.
Silver more.
Let's try this.
Agree.
What's Kyler?
There's a deep book.
You look up the silver. Actually, let's pull up eBay for me real quick.
Which one are you looking up?
I'm gonna look up the green scope, Kyler.
Okay.
Can you connect me onto the screen real quick?
Yep.
All right, last Kyler silver. A lot of select silvers.
You want to go by raw? Or you want to go by Prizm?
What do you mean?
Raw?
Mosaic. I'm sorry. PSA or raw?
Raw. Is there a raw one?
Let me just do minus PSA, minus auto.
Yeah, right there.
Offer accepted 1,000.
That was in September though. Okay, what the PSA one just do, Lou?
PSA.
Because I just saw a PSA 10 auto. Or a PSA 9, you got a 9?
Offer accepted. PSA 10 did $2,000.
At
$2,200.
Okay.
At bids. What's a silver Kyler do? PSA 10.
A 9 just did 600. The last 10. Hold on. I just went away. I don't see any 10s. There's a lot of Kylers. Prizm's up, I can tell you that. The last raw one did 300 a couple of days ago.
The last PSA 10 Kyler silvers hold December 1st for $2,500.
December 1st.
I'd value them probably somewhere in the same, but
right in the same universe.
Yeah, 9's about 500.
This is a conversation I've had over the weekend. I'd like your thoughts on it, Rye, because the collecting crowd, which we talk mainly about investing, I would say we're like a 80% energy of buying, and is it going to go up, more demand and sell. The collecting crowd, which also matters, and I say it a little bit of like the collecting crowd because they kind of give us a little bit of like the investing crowd, but I like collecting personally as well too. This was a collection piece that I picked up. At what point does Panini, if you're just collecting, $1,000 for that box is a lot of money. So like what, where are we going with this?
So there's a couple things in this. Like, it's $1,000 because of what Prizm is in the market, the potential to grade. It's the best rookie card for any base rookie card, football or basketball. Everybody you'd get in a break with it because you have the shot at a $10,000 Joe Burrow, $5,000. There's a lot of cards of value. Again, the Prizm brand holds a lot of weight in the hobby. And also look at resale market for boxes a year later. For the most part,
yeah. I guess my point or question is, by making this $1,000, is Panini officially putting their flag in the ground and saying, we understand what has happened to this market and we are now going to play into it? I guess it's like the same of Nike develops the sneaker app because they realize like the resale market's got out of hand. But like, at what point is that acknowledgement like happened?
Yeah,
and I feel like that pricing is like an acknowledgement of like,
yeah, and same thing
you can make money off this, so we need to get ours too.
Same thing with Dutch auction. It's not a bad thing, but this is a business, right? Like Panini's not a charity; they're a business. They're a for-profit business, and Dutch auction says, hey, we can get 1,500 from this guy and 1,400 from this guy and 1,300. I mean, it's all about, just like eBay, right? It's all about what you're willing to pay for it. So, yeah. I mean.
No, I don't fault it. I
don't disagree. I think you're right.
And it probably provides a lot of opportunity for, those other, whether it's I don't know, I guess Donruss or just like the second or third tier, because there still needs to be, and there still can be almost a resale market for like, if you're a father and want to open some football cards with your kid under the Christmas tree on like, you're asking a lot to give them Prizm. Like that's like buying like
$100 a pack
and some
12
Gucci
cards.
some Gucci sneakers instead of like some Skechers.
Yeah, and Lou talks about this a lot when he ranks his products, and we got to get a guide going here with Lou's, the tier of Lou's products. I mean, where it's like mid-tier, high end, mid-tier, low end, high end, low end, and we've done this before. So
low high.
If we're ranking on Lou's scale,
that was a dramatic dramatization of like how I view products. That was unbelievable. That was wild.
But seriously, like some of the mid-end products, like a product I like a lot is like Phoenix. Right, you got the chrome type look, you got the refractor, you've got a numbered card in every pack, you get an insert in every pack, you get a rookie in every pack, 4 hits or 3 hits per box, 2 autos, a jersey, that kind of thing. That's, look, I think it's got 18 packs in it. I want to say 18 or 16 packs, and it's a third of the price. So I think there's certainly some mid-tier products like that, but yeah, we're at the point now where like you've basically created classes in sports cards, right? Like. You got to be in a certain bracket to be buying and ripping boxes and cases of Prizm. That's expensive. Like you said, you could rip a box of Illusions, a box of Phoenix, a box of Donruss, and a box of Playoff. 4 boxes, 12 plus hits, 15 plus hits, 800 cards in total, 700 cards in total for the same price as 1 box of Prizm. But in the same breath, you hit a Joe Burrow auto in every box. Those 4 boxes or in Prizm, the Prizm auto is going to sell for probably more than all those other cards combined. So that's why Prizm is what it is. That's why it costs what it costs. But yeah, it seems.
It reminded me. This was the thought. It was like when you go to a casino, again for us blackjack dealers, and like all you want to do is just maybe grind some like $10 blackjack or like $5 blackjack, but it's Friday night and you're at the Borgata. And like every table is 50, and you're like, "Damn, I gotta go down to like the Trop or something." Like and I just want to hang here. And like, can I get a $10 table? But then you pull up to the $10 table, and like everyone's just like, sitting on 16s and like, splitting 10s, and you're like, "Yeah, I know, but I want to play normally." And it's like, well, you can't, because guess what? The demand's Friday night, and the demand's there, and you're either gonna complain about it or go to the Trop and party with the Trop people.
Yep.
But you're at the Borgata. So what else do you want? That's kind of like where Prizm has gotten.
Yeah, and Prizm being the way it is, also like being $1,000 a box also fuels the retail craze. That's why blasters sell for $80. Is you can't afford a hobby box of Prizm because it's outrageous. And, it's $1,000. So you're gonna buy three $80 blasters and spend $250 on those resale, and you're gonna pull a Burrow rookie or you're gonna pull a Tua silver, and you're gonna have the potential to still pull something cool, something of value, some cards you can grade. You can still do everything you can in a hobby box without the $15,000-$20,000 hit potential like a Justin Herbert gold vinyl. Like you're not gonna pull that in retail, but that's why retail is what it is too. It just
didn't someone pull a Burrow 1/1 out of a retail? Mm-hmm. Didn't that just happen? Didn't the Prism Burrow just retail come out of
black, right?
I'm pretty sure that came out of a retail box.
I think you're thinking of the no huddle.
Maybe
I thought it was a no huddle black. I would be amazed, absolutely astonished if the 1/1 Joe Burrow base rookie was in retail. I would be just baffled.
Why is that?
That's why you go to. That's why Hobby Box sells for what they sell for. That's why Hobby Box exists. If you're going to pull a top 5 card in the entire product in a retail box, you would never need Hobby.
That's the way it should be, though. It should be completely random, and that's the joy of buying a box.
Interesting, very interesting. You're thinking it should be random, just completely. Wherever.
I mean, the idea that it's not random is problematic, but yeah.
Yeah, they're different price points, so they're not all the same.
With a
price.
hobby box, you're getting autos. You're not getting autos out of a retail box. You should be able to get a better. I mean, this is my 2 cents, but you should be able to get a good color or a good parallel out of a retail, because realistically, the best case scenario you're getting out of a retail is a couple base and maybe a silver of a guy.
And that's why it's $20.
Yeah,
so that's my argument.
It's similar,
but then that's why a hobby box is only $200.
How do I equate this to a casino? Because I really do. Like when I think about breaking wax now, all I think about is essentially if you are in the business of breaking, you more or less for now have found a casino license without having to get a casino license. There's a maximum amount you can win at a roulette table if it's smaller buy-ins, to my understanding. I believe so. I could be wrong, but I believe if the minimum amount is less, like if you go to a roulette table and it's like minimum of 10, or like there's also a max. So like you can't go to a $10 table. You can go to a $50 table and win much more than you could if you go to a $10 table.
Yeah,
which makes to the point of
cost of entry. Like they can't be the same with the same possible outcomes.
Upside,
you can't. Exactly. You can't have a $200 box
you gotta pay to play.
with a $50,000 potential and a $20 box with a $50,000 potential. You never buy a $200 box.
Yeah, you just buy the 20 at scale.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
that makes sense to me. That's a good way to put it.
But I think this is going to be. To me, it would be interesting to see what happens the rest of the year, as we've talked about this. Like with Mosaic was the first product. Prizm's the second. Still have Select, still have Optic, still have Contenders, still have National Treasures, still have Flawless, still have a lot of the big products. What happens to those? Like, is Prizm going to set the tone? Is Prizm going to go up, down? I think so much of the market is controlled by Prizm, right? It's the brand for football and basketball. So I'm intrigued to see Contenders, Optic, Select, those kind of products the rest of the year, and how that how Prizm will affect it.
Mm-hmm.
Instagram search function kind of stinks, huh? I'm trying to find this Burrow card. It's like nowhere to be found.
Shall we transition to something that I never would wanted to do in my life, but here we are doing it?
Yes. So coming up after the break, we will get into who won Stump the Shop. All right, guys, so we're going to get into Stump the Shop. Again, Stump the Shop is brought to you by eBay, your number one stop for cards and memorabilia. So after 25 weeks of buying and selling on eBay, Ty and Lou, how do you feel?
I feel great. I'm excited to get into this. I do feel great. I actually feel amazing. But I like to do a little recap, little rundown. I think this is this segment. If you've listened to the first half of the episode, largely some of the more banter we've gotten into. So I want to bring a little education and value, and appreciate you if you've stuck with us up to this point. But really, I think Rye, I'm going to read back your kind of purchases, and then we'll go through ours and just some of the thinking that we had throughout the process, and then we will crown said winner and just talk about the process a little bit. So the first thing you came on and the Garrett Cole lot, which you picked up, and we talked a lot about just the ways that you navigate and find said lots. You had the Roberto Clemente lot. You had the Hunter Renfro 1-of-1 gold vinyl misspelled. You had the Tyler Hero Chinese New Year, Tyler Hero Revolution, Tyler Hero Blue Ice Prism. You bought a random lot of some graded cards, and you bought a random lot of some soccer cards.
Yep.
We picked up the Bulbasaur PSA 9. Everyone's favorite wide receiver, Tyler Mr. Punch and Get Ejected Boyd. Christian Pulisic Optic Hollow PSA 9. We had the lot of 3 Tops TV Pokemon. The DK Metcalf Optic Hollow PSA 9. We picked up some Jude Bellingham Tops Now. Ansu Fati PSA 9. And the Cardass Venusaur Red Prism PSA 8.
The one thing that's missing from our list is my DK NT that I sold this weekend.
This is a fair point. Raw, right? So, Rye, I'd love to just hear it. You kind of, you picked up lots, meaning like groups of cards, which was not a strategy we deployed. And then really outside of your Hunter Renfro, who had a touchdown catch called back against the Jets this weekend, I believe. Is that true, Lou? I think he did.
I don't think so.
And Tyler Hero, who has been oft talked about on this show. Can you recap a little bit for your the listeners, just kind of your strategy, and do you still think about purchasing lots? Feels like you specifically find value in lots of cards.
Yeah, I love buying in bulk, right? It's to me, it's no different than going to Costco or Sam's Club. You buy in bulk and you save money, right? If you're willing to put in the work and grind it out on multiple cards, which requires more work, more resources, more time, more everything, there should be some sort of, opportunity there, right? So you're taking on the responsibility of 50 cards rather than just one. So I look for opportunities to buy in bulk a lot. A lot of my strategy from the start was showing how I use eBay to find opportunity, not even just on bulk, but opportunity with newly listed items, right? So things that are just put on eBay, and when you search newly listed, you find you find things that have not been on eBay for a while, right? So you're looking for something that was listed in the last 10 minutes that no one has seen yet that is severely underpriced. So you're looking for underpriced, assets that way. So that was something I did with one of the graded lots I bought. It was like $400. I ended up making about 175 on that, I think. And then I used the same strategy with Garrett Cole and Roberto Clemente, finding additional items off of the same seller, right? You get a deal from one item on a seller. What else do they got? Do they have more deals available? So I went that route. Hunter Renfro, auctions on random times, right? A Friday night at like 7:30. Just seeing what's listed, right? That's not necessarily the best time. You're probably not glued to your computer screen on a Friday at 7:30. I mean, pre-COVID, you're probably, out hanging, doing something like that. So maybe not the best opportunity. So I look to take advantage of missed opportunities on there and underpriced assets. The Tyler Hero was literally putting my money where my mouth was. Lou and I were very, very optimistic about Tyler Hero. You, on the other hand, were not. And I said, if I believe in Tyler Hero as much as I say I believe in Tyler Hero, let's go buy some Tyler Hero. Lou and I did the same thing, right? Lou and I both went out and looked for Tyler Hero. And this is when we introduced grading. And I bought the Revolution Auto, which is at a 14. So that comes from Chinese New Year. And those are extremely hard to hit autographs from. Tyler Heroes is only 14 of them. Very limited print run. It's on card. It's got the red cracked ice. Looks really cool. Bought it for $200 and sold it for $600. Right? Some great markup there. And then finally deployed the strategy of grading cards. Got the Tyler Hero Blue Ice at a 99. Graded it. got a PSA 10. This is why we talk about grading. This is why grading is as popular as it is. You buy a card for $450. You spend $75 to get it graded real quick. Comes back and sells at auction for $3,636, and you clear $3,000 on one card.
Two things that I think were largely important. How do you not hold on? What selling Tyler Hero was probably tough. Like if I'm holding Tyler Hero at that moment, potentially a tough sell because of he might be more later. What is kind of your process for, I know you are always thinking about cards in, cards out. I know that you are in the game. You're in the 0.01% of like total action of being in the game. You do this full time, right? But how do you, if you feel, what's your process of making that decision when not sure if I should sell? How do I, this guy's hot right now. Maybe it's only for right now. If you're holding on a tranche of a certain player, do you kind of, sell them off one by one as it gets going? I think maybe someone that might have 5 Lukas right now is going through this, right? Luka was at 3K, then it was down maybe just under 1K, and now it's kind of creeping back up at 16, 17. Are you holding on, or you sell them one at a time? How do you go through that process?
So a couple of things. When Mike from MC Sports Cars was on, he mentioned keeping emotion out of it, and that to me is huge. So mine, because I'm different than you and Lou, because this isn't your guys' full-time work. So you guys aren't sitting on, at home all day, 24/7, buying and selling cards. So since I do that, again, owning a shop and having an eBay store, my whole business is just transactions. So the thought process is, if you're buying something and even if you're making a small percentage on it, consistently moving the inventory, it's compounding, right? If you move 10 things every week, making 7% on them, over time, you make a lot of money, right? You don't need amazing margins to make money if you're doing volume. So the
answer is have no conscience at all. Literally.
Just the thought process being, right, if you, let's say it's 7%. If you, again, 10% or 7% on 10 items every single week for 10 years, you have made enough money that in the end, from 10 years from now, if Tyler Hero is the best basketball player of all time, I would have made enough money to buy the Tyler Hero card back. That's the thought process.
Mm-hmm.
Is if I flip it again on those numbers, the money at the end of it would have made plenty to buy the same Tyler Hero card back. But if he's not, when you're doing the volume and the number of transactions, you have more to lose. So my thought is get out of it, even if he's amazing. I've sold some Devin Booker. I love Devin Booker.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think Devin Booker's a star. I love Devin Booker. So sure, it's not great to move them, but right? I mean, same thing with Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, I think, is great. He's so talented. I have a bunch of Burrow stuff. Burrow gets hurt. His stuff won't be the same for 10 months, 11 months, 12 months. So there's just, again, when you're as involved in the game, like I said, with the amount of inventory that we have, you're always going to lose. There's always a loss. So if you can alleviate the losses by moving as much as you can, as consistently as you can, you're going to prevent a lot of that. But that's just, like I said, Lou said, no conscious. It just.
Yeah. My question is, what motivates you to hold on to something? What are your motivators for holding as opposed to sell? Because your default, the difference in you and me is your default is move. My default is hold.
Mm-hmm.
Accomplishment, like risk, right? Like Tyler Hero is great. I like Tyler Hero. Devin Booker's a great one. I love Devin Booker, and Devin Booker could be a star. But at I think I have a silver 9.5 True Gem Plus left. It's
I
have 2 of those left. They're about 2,600 a piece.
Mm-hmm.
My thought is would I rather keep that or a Tiger Woods patch auto 9.510 out of 100 I just picked up? To me, the risk is a lot less in Tiger Woods game used patch auto or match worn whatever jersey auto out of 100 on card over the Devin Booker. So my thing is with the volume we get, I'm going to move the things that I think are a little bit riskier. Even Booker, like I think somewhat of a safe thing, but Tiger Woods has already done so much. So it's, to me, we're 80% in less sure things and 20% in more sure things. I know it's kind of the opposite of what I would like it to be, but I'm going to keep the guys that are, no matter what, you can't take it away. Tiger, LeBron, like you've got to have some things that are certain that have already accomplished things. And then I've got risk that I keep, like I picked up in Dallas, right? Like Connor McDavid, second year, exquisite patch auto out of like 5 or 10. Game used, it's a logo patch auto. Like I think McDavid's a stud. Just like Trouty's never won anything. He might not win in the team they're on, but game use, second year, high-end product. Like I'll keep that. That has risk to it, but not as expensive as, some modern cards. So yeah, that's kind of my thought process is let's keep the cards of long-term of the guys that are, already accomplished.
Interesting.
Because you're good. Like when we're buying as much as we're buying as much as we are, you're always going to have a new Devin Booker. You're always going to have a new Tyler Hero. There's always somebody every week. There's a flavor of the week. This week it's Jalen Hurts, right? Like there's always somebody new, always a new opportunity. Just can't get caught up in the, hey, this guy might be this.
I like that. Yeah, I'm thinking about it a lot for my own personal collection now of like some things to sell off, because when I look at like my entry cost to market value, I'm like, I gotta actualize some of this. But then it's like, is that LeBron? No, I think it's Booker and Luka. So it's just
and Luka's one I struggle with a lot, because I didn't know if Luka was going to be as good as he is, and I was one that came around a little bit later on that. But I mean, he's a star. But again, for not so much of this, we've said this before, so much of a current price has winning built in.
Yeah, future winnings built in.
Earnings or future winnings built in.
Yeah, his MVP
so much
is starting to get priced in. Like, yeah. Booker pretty much might as well be an all-star guard for the New York Knicks dating a Jenner.
Married to Kendall.
Yeah, married. Like
on King
like
of the Kardashians.
Travis Scott is best
on King of the Kardashians.
No, for real. That'd be a good thing to talk about in a future show. Is there's a couple guys right now that I think are in really interesting spots, and I think like Luka, rare stuff is really hard to come by. Yeah, like it doesn't come up. Booker, rare stuff doesn't really come up. You know what I mean? Ryan, you might have a different like insight into that stuff than I do, but from my perspective, you never see that stuff, and it makes it that much more valuable. And people, if you're able to actualize some of your more base stuff into that rare guys that we really, everyone can pretty much agree. Everyone could pretty much agree. Luka and Devin Booker are like the two biggest stars in the NBA to be here, right? The opportunity to actualize some of your base Luka or your base Tyler Hero or whatever into the rare stuff that isn't available and paying that premium for it becomes all the more easier to do. Yeah, interesting over time.
Yeah. So now going to our side of things, and thank you for that eloquent breakdown of your Stump the Shop run.
Yeah, real quick. I just want to thank you for your tenacity, getting through all that. That was good stuff. You really grinded it out.
Yeah, that's a good job, Brian. So on our side of things, big highlight for us was that Bulbasaur auction that Lou made a play on
with the leaf in the title.
Yep.
The green leaf.
The green leaf in the title, which mattered the most.
It mattered more than we realized going in.
So we had a nice sale on that. Tyler Boyd, which we picked up on. I think we purchased that in our internal meeting discussion, which in our private meeting was, we really felt that position players were going to pop. It's also our DK Metcalf take. And yesterday, Boyd had a big touchdown, and not from the quarterback that you would have thought. He also got ejected for throwing small hand to the face. I won't even call it a punch.
It was one of the weaker ejections I've seen this season.
But I think to that point, just we haven't seen that explosion in positional players in the NFL that we, Lou and I at least, thought would happen in the market when things were kind of white hot back in late July, August, I'd say. And so to that, we've learned, I think, and what we've really learned, because whereas you guys called me out last episode, I kind of was like, I was like, oh well, I don't think Metcalf's gone that crazy, and that was off of, and Jason mentioned before, that was off of, we got the optic hollow, not the prism, and I think whereas someone like Metcalf, who is huge right now, as big as it gets for a non-quarterback upcoming prospect in the NFL, Metcalf is as big as it'll get. You're not seeing it trickle to a product necessarily outside of Prizm. National Treasures, maybe, but you could say that sits above Prizm.
Yeah, it's a different thing.
Graded 10s. Always. I would say if you had an optic 10, I would say if you had an optic 10 hollow Metcalf, you're going to have much more potential to increase than a 9. The 10 is going to go up first, and then someone will realize there's a discrepancy between the 10 and the 9, and then the 9 goes up. There's a lag between the 10 and the 9 increase. Like my select Metcalf auto at a 5 isn't Prizm, and it sold for a lot. We talked about it on Instagram.
So 10s, we're seeing that much more of a
I think that's always been a trend in the market. Like I remember buying LeBron Topps PSA 9 rookies in January when they were a fraction of what 10s were. I think we've said this with multiple interview guests this year. A 10 gets so high, the average collector can't afford it. Then you're like, hey, what's the second best thing? Well, it's a 9. Let's go buy that. Or you can't afford the LeBron Topps Chrome 10 or 9, so you go to the Topps 10. You can't afford that, then you go to the Topps 9. It's just like a trickle-down effect. So I think what happens is it goes, it's going to go Prizm Silver, then it's going to go Prizm Base, then you're going to go Optic Hollow, then you go Optic Hollow 9. Like it's going to trickle its way down. And as those ones get, a Metcalf Prizm 10, I think is over $350 now for a base 10.
Yeah, $375.
So as those keep going up, someone's going to be like, hey man, I think the Optic Hollow might be, a PSA 9 might be better than a Prizm 10, and then that argument starts to happen, and then you see a rise there. But it's not going to be the first thing that rises.
I feel like that's a conversation that we were having about basketball player optic 9s like 16 months ago.
Yep.
My point being, I think we were just a little bit too early on that position player thing.
Yeah. So to that point,
you did pick the right guy.
Yeah.
I mean, Metcalf was the guy. He is the guy.
He's the guy.
His stuff's on fire.
Yeah, and he's on fire.
He has to be the best-selling rookie or the best-selling skill position at player, like the hottest, maybe not best-selling, but the hottest skill position player at the moment.
He's a beast.
Yeah,
if you watch him, like he's a monster.
I mean, that DK Metcalf out of 5 sold for 2,700. Like any wide receiver rookie auto out of that selling for that. Yeah, any wide receiver auto at all in the league? Can you think of anyone? I mean, I looked up a Julio Jones National Treasures auto.
Maybe CD? No.
Justin Jefferson's the best rookie wide receiver.
Henry Ruggs after his performance 24 hours ago.
It was an all-time catch.
So it definitely speaks to how well Metcalf stuff is doing in the market.
Yep. Yeah. Got it. That makes sense. And then we picked up an Ansu Fati PSA 9. He conveniently, about 72 hours later, blew his knee up and tore his meniscus. Coming back a little bit healthy, but no juice there. And the 96 Cardass Venusaur Red Prizm PSA 8, which, Lou, how are those doing?
I'm looking it up right now if you want to pull up my screen.
Surely. Let's see what we got. Checking on some Cardass.
Cardass is tough. The populations are so low, so I'd be stunned if we saw. And I think this is the one that I bought. I'm pretty sure. So, it's tough to find the populations on these.
Got you. And you picked that up
But,
for 103. How about Raw Cardass?
Raw Cardos is different, and also a different game there is because you're dealing with cards that are so old, and you're likely looking at buying them from Japan. Like $45 is a pretty good amount for this card.
Yeah.
I would put that on the higher end for this.
Yep.
Yeah, this stuff's just hard to come by. Like it's a little bit tougher to get comps on these in real time, like on demand, in the way that you could for a sports card, just because the populations are so much lower. Like I think the pop on this is like 22 or something. So
you remain as excited. We've kind of now gone through a little bit of a cycle of, we're a little bit past the Logan Paul, we're a little bit past the Logic purchase, but I think on the undercurrent, Pokimane, the streamer, just tweeted she's doing another box break. Content around Pokemon's at an all-time high. You remain as excited about the card?
I do. I think we had the first moment, right? The first Pokemon moment, and with that becomes the sellers who have been holding their cards for a really long time, and this is to the larger Pokemon in 1999, right? And as what always happens is those guys and girls sell their cards, and new floors are set, right? So the person who bought a PSA 9 Venusaur 1999 Pokemon game who paid $17,000 is now very much in the business of keeping, like you've talked about many times, they're very much in the business of keeping their $17,000 valued at least $17,000. So I think, of course, this is the white hot moment has definitely faded, but I'm more confident than ever that there will be another one of those down the line.
Yeah, and let's be honest here. You guys didn't buy Pokemon necessarily to flip a week later. I think the thought process is I think we're all, you guys especially, pretty optimistic about Pokemon's longevity and the opportunity with the 25th anniversary next year and just the future, right? We talked about it with Jeremy a lot. Like Pokemon cards have never been handed down. They were played as a game. Like Lou mentions it all the time.
The handing it down from father to son and all that was the first time that was a big indicator for me and something I thought about a lot, because it's like when people talk about vintage, right? Like when I talk to Gary about vintage or my dad about older cards, like they talk about that. I grew up watching these guys play basketball, and I collected these cards when I was a kid. Like it doesn't exist for Pokemon yet, so it's not as easy for people to like see in front of their face. So
patience. And then Pulisic, I mean, on that PSA 9 that we had,
what's that one called, Ty?
We got a 2016 Donruss Hollow. But the Pulisic market is not been, I mean, he's been nowhere to be found because he's been out for pretty much since like late July, early August. I think he was out with a hammy. Then he came back. He just he actually got lucky this past weekend in that he wasn't in the starting lineup. He started in Champs League the week before, but played, I think, 55 or 60 minutes. He had to come on in the 30th minute this past weekend due to an injury, and he played fairly well, and he stuck a goal. So we're going to start to see that market get going a little bit. I think he's going to start playing for Chelsea. The holidays are always big for Premier League football. They stack the schedule over Christmas and New Year, and I think we'll start to see that. But with that being said, as we've talked through this a little bit, us holding for the long term and not being as active on the sales side, I think has hurt us. I think some of the things we could have moved quicker on. I believe that compounding interest of what you've talked about, Rye, where like if you are selling, you'll have the money to buy it back, and it'll be at the same pretty much basis anyway, because it'll be, house money that you're purchasing it with. So you might as well create more opportunity cost for yourself. So it pains me to say, but the shop has not been stumped, Lou.
Yeah, it's a tough break. I'm really sad about it.
Do you think, serious question, do you think me being in your team meetings had any, advantage?
No, look, I think the thing, serious answer to your serious question, I think something that happened with you being in our team meetings is you got inside of our head a little bit. and I think you might have affected my. I'll hand up might have affected my decision making a little bit and forced my hand a little bit when I didn't want it to be forced.
I think for us, and I'm going to pull you out here, Lou. I think for the real learning, really what I've been going through on the card side of things is constantly not letting emotion get in the way. Like, we didn't sell things on both sides of things. We didn't sell because this game, like what we were playing, we weren't in it on an every day-to-day basis, and that's no fault of our own. We weren't saying, okay, the Bulbasaur made money, take that money, what can we put it back in, and then turn around and sell. Whereas we kind of made plays Pulisic. The thought on that was long-term. Ansu Fati, long-term. We've always said Pokemon was going to be long-term. Tyler Boyd and DK Metcalf, we kind of made those NFL position player bets. But then when they didn't pop or play out, what we could have and should have done is transacted those once we knew and gotten into another spot. This game was about investing. This game was about high ROI. And our reaction to not getting paid dirt immediately outside of the Bulbasaur was not to move and find another opportunity. It was to sit and be patient and wait. And I think that's, a little bit, again, that's emotion. That's being emotional about our own plays. Even if you take a 5% loss, you might gain 25% on your next play.
But if you don't have the money out to play the next play, you lost.
Yeah. Whereas with you being in it more, and I could be wrong, but it allows for like less emotion. And I think that's, again, the collecting and investing conversation that you got to come in with a plan. You got to stick to your plan. And every day you have to pick yourself back up and go at it with consistent effort and consistent approach.
And there were things like I bought a soccer lot, right? It was Chronicle Soccer. As soon as it first came out, it was $1.99. I made $9 to $15 on an entire deal. I had to ship 40 things. Like, it was a lot of work. Didn't really make a lot of money, but I bought it. And as I bought it, stuff started to go down, right? Everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the mouth. And when your lot you bought for $200 goes to, $175 quick flip or, $215 with a lot of work, which one are you going to do? And part of it was, you guys couldn't control, Tyler Boyd punching somebody or Christian Pulisic getting hurt. And I think Stump The Shop turned into everything we've talked about on this show before. Keeping emotion out of it. Are you doing a lot of transactions? You can flip it and make money doing it consistently. What happens when, something you buy goes down? Are you willing to sell it and take the loss and keep playing? Or do you want to realize that value, right? Transactions are key to learning. You need, it's easy to buy. It's harder to sell. These are all things we've ever talked about on this show. And, we're proof that these things we say are true. And it was a great learning experience.
The buying a blue ice prism raw, getting it graded, and then selling it is, for me, it shows a lot, right? Again, that is like, I think a lot of individuals would get that back and feel accomplished and proud of themselves just for getting the graded card back and then not seeing through the transaction, because they'd be like, well, I did really good on this one. Look how smart I am. I bought it, and graded it to a 10 and just kind of hold on to it.
But I also, one of the things I agree, Todd, that's a excellent point. And it speaks to things we talked about before. PSA grading is an all-time high. You're grading cards. PSA is charging you $75 to get a $3,600 price tag on a $450 card. That's why grading is where it's at. That's why grading is going where it's going. It's why people love graded cards. It's hard to argue with that. But in the same breath, I think another thing this showed was, I remember quitting my job in 2018 and being told like, hey man, this is cool. You can't really make a lot of money on this. Like, this is a hobby. This is a side thing. And I just think, this is a small fraction for what we do on a daily basis, but it shows that, right? If you do your research, you put in the time, you put in the effort, this has potential to be a real business. Like, you can make money doing this. I spent $1,762 and left up over 50, like 5,200. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but it was like $5,200. You're talking about a $3,000 gain on it was like 3,100 for the money. I think it was 301% on my money. I just, like, it may not always be that great, and some things you get luckier on, right? A lot of it was from the Tyler Hero, but I just think it speaks to, like, this if you play your cards right and you know what you're doing and you learn, this is possible. And that's what makes me feel good about it, is not necessarily that I won as much as I love beating you and, you and Lou. It just, so many people out there like, hey, can I do this full time? Is this a real job? And I think it shows that, put in the time, put in the effort, track it, be honest with yourself. It can be.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Well, congrats. Maybe we'll get you a hoodie or something. Yeah, Jason, we got to get him like a Stump the Shop champion hoodie.
And I would rather you guys get shirts that say Stumped.
Stumped?
That's actually a great idea.
I'm in for a
where we could wear those.
Dallas? Interesting. All right. I like it. All right. I'll commit to wearing a Stump shirt in Dallas.
Me too.
With maybe we get the Card Collector 2 logo on it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a little announcement for everyone who's going to Dallas, but
we all stumped.
All right, so before we kick it over and start getting into new releases, we just want to remind everybody, Stump the Shop is brought to you by eBay, your number one stop for cards and memorabilia. Now, let's get into the new releases. Not as big as last week, right? You had Prizm last week. Kind of hard to top the best football product of the year, the most popular football product of the year. I know this week there is a big product coming out for baseball. I would love to get Lou's take on it because Bowman Draft comes out this week.
Draft comes out this week?
Bowman Draft Baseball, Jumbo and Super Jumbo.
Is that true?
Yep. I'm pulling it up right now.
No way.
Yeah, Bowman Draft Bowman Draft Baseball, Jumbo, and Super Jumbo comes out Wednesday.
Wow. I had no idea.
Yep. So you got that. You got WWE Finest Wrestling. You have Topps Chrome UEFA Champions League Soccer. Big release there. Then you've got Stadium Club Chrome Baseball. National Treasures Racing is the final one this week. And then there's also a Yu-Gi-Oh! Speed Duel, which I'm not actually sure much about that. But yeah, Bowman Draft Baseball and Topps Chrome UEFA Champions League Soccer.
Yeah, I am excited about Champions League Soccer.
I'm trying to find out who's in. Do you have a checklist in front of you for Bowman Draft? See, like the first are going to be in this one.
I can pull it up. I don't know hardly the names like you do. Yeah,
I'm trying to see. That's so wild. Baseball's so off my radar right now. It's like, but what's funny? Speaking of baseball, while I'm trying to find this, it's getting close to. My camera's messed up. It's getting close to buy time for baseball. I mean, it is buy time for baseball for next season. I was really doing some research yesterday and trying to figure out where I'm going to make some plays, but it's about that time.
Yeah, I mentioned that to someone earlier today that, I mean, you're in the heart of the offseason for baseball. Basketball is about to start. Football is about to head into the playoffs. You're going to see a lot. Like, there's just not attention on baseball, right? I mean,
none. Zero.
Basketball about to start and football is on. So, but it'll be the same thing, right? Like, wait till middle of March. Basketball's going right around the All-Star break. Football's a month and a half away from the Super Bowl being over. Baseball's about to start. Plenty of time to start looking at what Joe Burrow stuff's selling for. If you're in on Joe Burrow or other quarterbacks or other buying opportunities, as one sport gets ready to ramp up and one sport's in the mix of it in the heart of the season, the other sport seems to die down and present a buying opportunity in most cases.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a checklist, base paper set checklist, bunch of names I don't really know as much about.
Spencer Torkelson will be in it, so he's like the biggest one. So Spencer Torkelson is obviously a beast.
So who does he play for?
Spencer Torkelson is on the Detroit. He's in the Detroit Tigers system.
Gotcha.
He's an animal. First baseman.
Ty, while he's doing that, any thoughts on Chrome?
I don't think the full set list is out. But I do know that Joao Felix has been on absolute fire, and he's someone that I've long been excited about. That product, I think we'll see more Gio Reyna. People are going to be going after, but that's just a acknowledgement to him. He's been killing it, and I have about 20 of his base stuff at PSA right now that I'm waiting to get back through my sub with you.
Happy to help.
Do you think I should send you my green scope Tua?
Probably
should, right?
So, and this is a great question because we get asked this a lot. So I think this is a great 30-second advice because I get this question all the time. Should I grade this card? So what's your plan with the Tua? Because the thought process has to be on this card, right? You can 5-day it, have it back in roughly a month. Cost you $75.
Oh my God.
Right? You get it back in a month, $75, right? That's an option. A month from now, early January, middle of January, you get it back. What does football season look like for Tua? Is he done? Is he still playing? Is he good? That's a possibility. Then you look at the option for 3 months, right? 3 months from now, you're at March. Do you want Tua in the heart of the offseason? No? Okay. So then do you just sell it raw and let somebody else take on that risk, knowing if you don't have it graded in the next, month? When's the next time it's going to hit peak potential? It'd still be nice as a PSA 10 in March.
He might not be their quarterback next year.
Whoa. Interesting.
That's on the table.
Sure, absolutely. That's why he's playing now, is to figure that out.
They benched him.
Yeah,
he's in one big pro day right now.
It feels very evaluation period for Tua right now.
Absolutely. It should be evaluation period for a lot. That's why Jalen Hurts should be playing.
I couldn't agree more.
Right? And honestly, that's why Jacob Eason should be playing. This is the opportunity. I mean, Jacob Eason's different because the Colts are in the mix at least. So I understand Rivers being there. You might win the division. I think they're leading the division now. So this is this is the opportunity. Hey, there's multiple quarterbacks next year. Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Trey Lance, Mac Jones. There's multiple quarterbacks that'll likely go in the first 40 picks, 50 picks, 2 rounds, whatever. This is the opportunity to say, hey, is the guy we drafted in the second or third round, is he the answer for the franchise or is he not?
It's crazy, man.
So
it's unreal.
If you're not winning games, time to figure it out.
Imagine if you're the Jets right now.
I mean, awful.
You had to make this decision. I mean, Trevor Lawrence hasn't been putting up most.
Trevor Lawrence is a stud.
Trevor Lawrence is definitely a stud. Here's my thing, right? All kidding aside, this is not a new release conversation, but the idea that you can get 5, 6. How many picks can you get for Trevor?
You could do more with all of the picks than one.
And the Jets are so talent efficient. They're so bad. The team is so bad.
We've talked about this before. Can the average non-Jets fan name 5 players on the Jets that are not rookies? Could you name 3? If you're not a Jets fan, can you name 3 people?
When you take out Sam Darnold and Mekhi Becton, can you name anyone else on the team?
So besides,
can you name anyone else?
Tough.
They're
bad, dude. And here's the thing, right? With Sam, we're gonna wrap it up here, but if let's say you decide to trade that pick and you get 4, 5, 6 picks for it, you still have 2 more years of Sam, I believe. You're basically kicking the can down the road, but in the meantime, you're building up the rest of your roster.
That's what the Browns did.
That's the way.
They traded their pick, got Myles Garrett, got Baker Mayfield.
I'm heavily pro Sam, but either way, I think keeping Sam is the play.
I don't hate the idea of building assets.
I'm glad. Thank you. I'm glad you don't hate it.
So
that's what we're gonna do.
That's all I got for this one, guys. See you next week.